afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, tributes pouring in from all over the world after the death of Pope Francis. The late superstar Nora Aunor is honored with a state funeral. Another showbiz icon, Hajji Alejandro, passes away. He was 70. And a look at this year's winners at the Laureus World Sports Awards. Thanks for joining us. The world mourning Pope Francis, who passed away Monday at the age of 88. His death certificate says he died of stroke and irreversible cardiovascular arrest. The pontiff, who suffered double pneumonia this year, also fell into a coma. Following his death, seals were placed on the Pope's residence at the Vatican. Francis, who was known to be a simple pope, lived in a small suite in a guest house. No date has been set yet for the funeral, but the Vatican says it could take place between Friday and Sunday. Meantime, prayers and tears from worshippers fill St. Peter's Square. His death came as a shock following his public appearance there on Easter Sunday, where he even greeted crowds from an open-air Pope mobile.
Una grande tristeza, una bella persona.
A great sadness, a beautiful person. He will be greatly missed. Finding one the same is difficult.
I think he was a good pope like John Paul II. I liked him as a pope, same as John Paul II.
The rest of the world also holding tributes for Pope Francis. A special mass was held in his hometown of Buenos Aires, Argentina. Worshippers also lit candles and laid flowers for the first Latin American pope. The government declared 7 days of mourning. Catholics in Gaza also remembering Francis, who used his Easter message to call for a ceasefire in the war-torn area.
He's very close to us all the time. He called us during all this war, this horrible war, for more than 1 year and a half. Daily, he called us and to ask for peace, to pray for peace, and to give the blessing for all Gazan people and for all the Palestinians.
In France, hundreds of Catholics attended a tribute mass at Notre Dame Cathedral. The cathedral's bells tolled 88 times, symbolically representing each year of the Pope's life. Church bells also rang out across the Philippines, where Francis was affectionately known by the nickname Lolo Kiko. He is a beloved figure here in the country, which he visited in 2015. Francis visited victims of Typhoon Haiyan and held a mass attended by millions of devotees despite the rains.
Malaking dagok din yun sa simbahan, no? Kasi bilang sa amin mga kabataan din, isa siyang halimbawa Malaki siyang halimbawa sa amin na siya yung aming sinusundan, no? Since he is a vicar of Christ.
Para sa akin po, parang na-serve naman niya po yung purpose na bilang Pope. I think naging magaling naman po siya sa niya, trabaho niya bilang parang leader ng nating mga Katoliko. Kaya ayun, nakakagulat and nakakalungkot din po at the same time.
Bilang isang Katoliko, isang Kristiyano-Katoliko, dagdagan natin yung panalangin para kay Pope Francis, para din sa ikapapayapa ng kanyang kaluluwa.
A man of profound faith and humility. That's how President Bongbong Marcos describes Pope Francis. He says Francis taught the world to be a good Christian by extending kindness and care. Marcos adds the Pope's life brought hope and compassion and was an inspiration to love one another. As for U.S. President Donald Trump, he hails the Pope as a good man.
I just signed an executive order putting the flags of our country, all of them, all federal flags and state flags, at half-mast in honor of Pope Francis. So he was a good man, worked hard, he loved the world, and it's an honor to do that.
Meanwhile, King Charles, who met with Francis earlier this month, honored the Pope for his compassion and commitment to all people of faith. Meanwhile, the UN chief lauds the Pope as a voice for peace, human dignity, and social justice.
Pope Francis was a man of faith for all faiths, working with people of all beliefs and backgrounds to light a path forward. Through the years, we at United Nations were greatly inspired by his commitment to the goals and ideals of our organization, a message I was honored to convey in my meetings with him as Secretary General. Our divided and discordant world will be a much better place if we follow his example of unity and mutual understanding in our own actions.
Pope Francis was known as a maverick during his time as head of the Catholic Church. He was revered for his courage and progressive stance on a wide range of social issues, often breaking tradition in an institution long rooted in conservatism. In an interview on BNC's It's a Beautiful Day, Father Greg Gaston, rector of the Pontificio Colegio Filipino in Rome, reflects on the legacy of Pope Francis.
That's why we always say that Pope Francis is, truly very progressive, because progress has been different now and in the past, but the same charity, the same love. Well, I would say that all the popes would simply continue the message of Jesus, which is precisely love, as you mentioned. So in a way, yes, he is progressive, maybe in the way that he would express the same love of Jesus 2,000 years ago, and all the popes would try to do that. In fact, each one of us, hopefully, we also try to manifest this love of Jesus. So,
Let's talk more about the Pope's legacy with Father Aris Sison, spokesperson of the Catholic Diocese of Cubao. Father Aris, good afternoon to you. Good to see you.
Good afternoon, Mai. Good afternoon to all of our viewers.
We all know the Pope's health has been very fragile lately, but his death still came as a shock. What do you think will the Pope be best remembered for?
I think Pope Francis will be remembered for a number of things. But for me, first of all, will be on his emphasis on mercy. That's a theme that he has touched on so many times. He declared 2016 as a Jubilee Year of Mercy. And the Filipinos, in a very special way, felt that when he came here in 2015 after Typhoon Yolanda.
Yes. What do you think? In what ways did he continue his predecessor's work? And in what ways did he change them?
Pope Francis had a unique way of touching the lives of people. And I would say he did this not just through his words, but more specifically through his gestures. Remember when he came here, how he hugged those who lost their loved ones in Tacloban, how those gestures will never be forgotten by the people that he touched and the people who saw what he did.
Yes, that was most memorable. It came just about 13 or 14 months since Typhoon Haiyan or Yolanda hit Tacloban. All right.
Yeah, I remember very well that after he saw the news of the damage brought about by Typhoon Yolanda, he said, I need to go there. And he did come.
He's also known for his closeness to the people that he served. Did you have any personal encounters with the Pope?
Unfortunately, I never had a chance to meet Pope Francis personally. But I've even just seeing him from a distance made me feel that he's really a different Pope. Somehow I felt close to him.
Well, what's next for the Catholic Church, do you think? What does Pope Francis's laws mean for Filipino Catholics? And not even Catholics, because I think Pope Francis touched so much more, even non-Catholics, people of all religions.
One of the messages I read this morning were messages of condolences from the Bangsamoro. Just imagine, he touched the lives not just of Christians, but even of non-Christians, because one of the many things he did was he tried to bring people together, saying all of us are brothers.
Yes.
Even though we come from different races, different religions, all of us are brothers. One of his encyclicals was entitled Fratelli Tutti. All of us are brothers. That's one of the messages he kept repeating.
Yes, that's why he touched so much more, so many people other than Catholics. He stood for openness, fairness, inclusivity, and his ideals of social justice will be best remembered. Now let's talk about the Pope's successor. Many people are talking about that now. What are you personally looking for or hoping for in the next pontiff?
Pardon me, Mai, but the Holy Father just died yesterday. I think it's too early. It's too early to speak about that. I believe we should spend these days mourning his passing, praying for the repose of his soul, and recalling the many happy experiences we had together. I think it's too early. The conclave will not begin until 15 to 20 days after his passing. So these first days of his death, the first 9 days are called Novendiales. These are days of prayer. We will have masses in all churches, in all dioceses for his passing. 4 to 6 days. In 4 to 6 days, we will be having his funeral. Only after that will the cardinals come together for the conclave.
I agree completely. There should be a respectable time for mourning. People are still grieving, and we should remember Pope Francis and grieve his loss. Father Aricison, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
President Bongbong Marcos declares a day of national mourning over the passing of Nora Aunor. This coincides with the state funeral for the superstar and national artist. Hannah T. joins us on the line from the Libingan ng mga Bayani. Hannah, go ahead.
A final salute will be given here at the Libingan ng mga Bayani as the nation lays to rest one of the greatest artists in Philippine history, national artist Nora Aunor. Her burial today comes with full state honors. Before her interment, Aunor remains were brought to the Metropolitan Theater in Manila this morning for a state necrological service led by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. The Manila LGU conducted road closures in Padre Burgos Avenue and the northbound lane of Natividad Lopez Street to give way to the service starting 7 a.m. this morning. She was welcomed by fans of all ages, some of whom even got to enter the theater to pay their final respects. Among them is Danny, a longtime fan and former fan club president who brought a framed photo of himself with Aunor taken decades ago.
Napakabait po niya sa fans. Hindi ko makakalimutan lahat na naitulong niya sa akin. Pamasahe pag-uwi ako. Minsan ako nagpamasahe pa uwi ng Malolos. Binibigyan ako 2 pesos pa lang noon ang pinakamalaki na.
Mahal ka namin. Alam kong masaya ka na. Love you, Mama God.
Last night, President Bongbong Marcos Jr. and First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos also paid the respects to the superstar at her wake in Heritage Park. They were accompanied by Presidential Communications Secretary Jay Ruiz. PBBM praised Aunor for her golden voice and brilliant acting and calls her a gift to the nation. Also yesterday, Senator Amy Marcos visited the wake and recalled fond memories from the shooting of Himala in Ilocos. The superstar passed away on April 16 due to acute respiratory failure at the age of 71. She was a legendary actress and singer who starred in over 170 films and made history in Philippine cinema. She earned top awards like The Famas and Gawad Urian and also shined on theater with a musical show that ran for over 2 decades. In 2022, she was named National Artist for Film and Broadcast Arts, securing her legacy as one of the country's most honored icons. Mai?
Hannah, are fans also allowed to witness the funeral of the superstar up close?
Yes, Mai, actually, seats have been allotted for Noranians here at the Libingan ng mga Bayani. They were also given the chance to sit near the final resting place of the superstar. And she will be laid to rest beside director Ismael Bernal, who directed her iconic film, Himala. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you for that report, Hanati. Another showbiz icon has sadly passed away. Hajji Alejandro's family confirmed his death earlier this morning. He was 70. Dubbed the original kilabot ng mga kolehiyala, Hajji was part of the group The Hitmakers alongside Ray Valera, Marco Sison, Noynoy Zuniga, and Rico J. Puno. His best-known songs include Kay Ganda ng Ating Musika, Panakip Butas, and Nakapagtataka. Hajji was hospitalized earlier this year for colon cancer. Taking a break, up ahead, Mondo Duplantis and Simone Biles lead this year's winners at the Laureus World Sports Awards. That and more when we return. Stay with us. The sports industry joins the world in mourning Pope Francis. Argentine football superstar Lionel Messi shared a photo of him and the Pope. He thanked Francis for making the world a better place. Argentina's Football Association postponed all of its fixtures on Monday to mourn the Holy Father. Meanwhile, the International Olympic Committee says it has lost a great friend and supporter of the Olympic movement. In other sports news, the best in the industry are honored at the annual Laureus World Sports Awards. For the first time, Swedish pole vaulter Mondo Duplantis won Sportsman of the Year. That's after he captured a second straight Olympic gold medal in Paris, breaking his own world record for the 9th time. Named Sportswoman of the Year is the world's most decorated gymnast, Simone Biles. This is the 4th time that she won the award.
I've been dreaming of moments like this since I was a foster kid, so I have to say thank you to my parents for adopting my sister and I and for allowing me to turn my passion into my profession.
Thank you. Thank you, Laureus. Thank you to the Academy. Some halfway decent athletes think that I was deserving of this award, so that's a pretty cool thing.
Tennis great Rafael Nadal was honored with the Sporting Icon Award, while soccer sensation Lamine Yamal won Breakthrough of the Year. In women's tennis, Yelena Ostapenko dominates top-ranked Aryna Sabalenka in the WTA Stuttgart Open Championship match on Monday 6-4, 6-1. The Latvian Ostapenko tore through the draw 6-4, 6-1 to claim the 9th WTA singles title of her career and her first clay court crown since her Roland Garros triumph in 2017. Ostapenko edged a tight first set before catching fire in the second, winning 14 of 17 points. This is the first time that the world number 24 Ostapenko beat world number 1 Sabalenka in 4 matches played. Ostapenko and Sabalenka are headed next to the Madrid Open. Speaking of the Madrid Open, our very own Alex Ayala is also competing there. She will kick off her campaign later at 5 p.m. Philippine time against world number 64 Victoria Tomova of Bulgaria. Iga Świątek, whom Ayala defeated at the Miami Open last month, is the reigning champion of the Madrid Open. This comes ahead of Ayala's pro Grand Slam debut at the French Open, which tips off on May 25th. Shifting to some world headlines, Harvard University takes U.S. President Donald Trump to court. It has filed a lawsuit in Boston to block Trump from freezing billions of dollars in federal funding. Harvard describes the president's actions as arbitrary and unlawful and violates the university's right to free speech. Trump has threatened to withhold funding against major universities if they do not change school policies, a move that he says was meant to fight anti-Semitism and ideological bias on campuses. The White House has yet to comment on Harvard's case. Controversy hounds the Pentagon chief over reports of a second leak of America's Yemen war plans. But Pete Hegseth is fighting back as he lashed out at what he called media hoaxsters.
You know, what a big surprise that a few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media that peddled the Russia hoax. Won't give back their Pulitzers. They got Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. And on hoaxes, time and time and time again. And as they peddle those lies, no one ever calls them on it. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me.
Reports say Hegseth had shared details of the March attack on Yemen's Houthi rebels in a chat group that included his wife, his brother, and personal lawyer. The White House says President Trump stands behind Hegseth despite the controversy. Before we go, from masses to vigils, Catholics from around the world are holding various tributes to Pope Francis, among them a sand sculpture. A renowned Indian artist honored the pontiff with an 8-feet-tall sand image at a beach. The 8-ton carving depicts the Catholic Church leader smiling with his hands in prayer.
Today is a huge loss to around the world. Every corner is paying tribute through in different way. We as an artist, we have created this sand sculpture of Pope, around 8 feet height of sculpture. We have used around 8 tons of sand to pray our tribute through the sand.
Pope Francis died on Easter Monday due to stroke and cardiac arrest. He was 88 years old. And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Keep it here on the Billionaire News channel. Good afternoon.